Welcome to the first episode of Sisucast, where I talk with people about their creative and entrepreneurial endeavors. In this first episode, we talk with Shafiq and Xander and their immersive theater project, Circle of Truth. So let's dive in.
I'm Xander Straat. I'm 59 years old. No, 8. In May I become 59.
So 58.
58. I came from acting. I was taught as an actor. I was opera director for a while. I was a little bit fed up with classical opera. I did a lot, but I still love it, but the whole structure, the whole way of making. And I found a new way of collaborating and making a different way of art, a different way of theater with my friend Shafiq.
Hi, I'm Shafiq. I'm 43 years old. And I call myself a theater maker slash entrepreneur. Together with Xander, we're guiding the Door Foundation, and we have, of course, the venue Door Open Space, where we do the program of Door Foundation, and together we make our beloved project, the Circle of Truth.
Now, before we dive into Circle of Truth, can you explain the audience what Door Foundation is and what you guys do?
3 pillars. If one is we receive. So that means other groups can come here to play. It's from festivals, private festival, programming, Holland Festival, whatever. Schools with the Youthful Academy with their fashion show of creation. And we have residencies, that's the second pillar. So young or immersive artists, it can also be older artists who start as in their practice older. We help them to develop.
Yeah,
and the third
develop, produce, guide it.
Very short or sometimes but longer periods where they can work and they can show their work, and we also get audience there.
We provide them with space that's very necessary in Amsterdam, because we have this 3,000 square meters warehouse where it's very needed to have affordable space. So and there's a lot of need for artists to have some more guidance in how to reach the audience and how to perform in a more immersive way.
To share our experience, we're a little bit older, we also know about entrepreneurship, about production, about marketing, also about content of theater itself.
And we try to connect them with, for example, if there's a sculpture, we try to connect the sculpture, for example, with a performance artist who really try to amplify and to help people to think more interdisciplinary.
And the third thing is we make theater ourselves. So we're the directors and producers of the big project we make is the Circle of Truth. It's a trilogy. We already made a part 1 in 2022, and now we're making 7th of March will be the first performance of the part 2. Dr. Faustus is the subtitle because it's based on this book. Inspired in this book.
Yeah, so it's a trilogy divided in 3 parts, of course. And so first it was inspired by Master Margarita novel and Bulgakov,
Russian writer.
And now the second one, what we are making now, we're in the middle of the rehearsals now. It's inspired by Dr. Faustus from Thomas Mann. And then part 3 is still to be decided, and we're thinking about maybe to look for a female writer who's busy with the Faust theme.
So I've been to the first edition of Circle of Truth, and I just said to Shafiq, it's really hard to kind of explain what it contains. I've been to one immersive theater in New York, but actually I like this one way better.
Ooh, thank you. Thank you.
Could you explain the audience a bit more insights about what Circle of Truth is?
Yeah, so there's actually 2 sides. So you have the Circle of Truth. Circle of Truth is kind of this mock-up kind of organization that's where there's kind of almost a sectaric kind of movement and led by the devil. So that's the Circle of Truth. And inside of this circle, this is kind of a company where we tell different stories about truth, actually. And what we have is, with every edition, we tell a new story by a book by a Faust book. And what makes it unique, I think, is that we together create overlaying narrative, But inside of narrative, because we're talking about truth, we are giving scenes of the book to different makers and performers from different disciplines. So for part 2, we extracted 4 different themes out of the book, and we commissioned them to 4 different makers, performers. And what we do, we make immersive theater, but it's sometimes classical too. It's not that we only use immersive because it's hip or hot, but we use a building as much as we can and as the canvas for the storytelling.
Immersive is for us something like freeze. You mentioned the thing in New York. We all know what it was. I think it's produced very well, but there's one big difference, and that it's like the normal immersive shows are very individualistic. It's very much about one individualistic experience. And what we found out, and we developed it during COVID period, that the separation of people through bubbles was really terrible. It was going on, the polarization of society, with social media as well. We thought it's very important that people meet each other. So it's not an individualistic experience, of course, but it's also to meet other people. So meet other perspectives, but meet also your fellow audience. And that's I think that's the most specific and special thing we do. And because we have different makers, we ask to make 4 scenes. They take different audiences from different backgrounds, and they meet in our show. And this is for us one of the, I think, the most valuable things what we reached last year. The combination of people that normally never meet, who meet each other in this show.
Yeah, and we try to make it like when we started this, like what you see a lot in theater, and everything has this goal and everything is beautiful. But like we wanted to create this mix between this nightlife experience, and if you create a nightlife experience, it has to be kind of active too. You have to have the feeling that you're meeting people. You have to go on an adventure together, like you're in a rave and you see new stuff, and then suddenly there's a performance going on there. We work, of course, a little bit more with a narrative, but what we do is we commission them to make our performers. It's about meeting other perspectives too. So
and personal, like it also comes from the personal wish that we share. Like I think all great products come from personal wishes of people. That we're, and the wish was different context for theater. So we have all kind of theaters, classical, new, nightlife. But not only sitting in a chair and looking in a dark hall, or from the dark to the light, drink whenever you want, move whenever you like. So a different way of
dynamics.
Of dynamics.
Where do you and the makers you're working with get their inspirations from?
Now, of course, from the book, Dr. Faustus and Thomas Mann, but about life too. So our inspiration is from the now, actually, that we're living now in a time of that people don't trust each other anymore. We're all living in bubbles. There's a war going on, even physically, but online too. So it's about all this information, and I think so for us that was the inspiration where it started, and then we looked to literature that was actually having the same issues but in history. So for example, the book is about the time in between the First World War and the Second World War, where we were in between big world wars, and where propaganda was going on too in that time, polarization was going on too, but we tried to get it into the now. So what we do, we research the book and we make the connection with the now, and that's what the performers and the performer makers do too. So we give them assignment. For example, one of the scenes is about lust or a brothel, where the composer in the book extracted syphilis. And this theme has a lot of layers. It's about wanting more, it's about lust, and about a lot of things that we're dealing now in this time too. It's about sexualization of a lot of things, and about wanting more and more and more, and creating pacts with the devil. So if you want to have, for example, if you want to have everything, you always sacrifice something. So, and that is a very important theme. Is what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve something?
That's the main theme. The main from the book.
Yeah.
And the book, of course, is a kind of, I think we want to make it more universal. If you only talk about now and you directly start from now, it's less universal. That's why we took the book as a layer.
Yeah.
And the book and the themes from the book we extracted, we use to reflect on our time now, because you always have to reflect on the now.
Yeah, for sure. What did you sacrifice? Is there something you guys sacrificed? Yeah.
Oh my God,
A lot of money.
No, when we sacrifice, yeah, of course, I think
Time.
I think time. It's very vulnerable to be in the position to do something that people could like totally hate it, could totally love it. So it's something we work so hard to do something for the audience, and actually for this applause that people love it. We sacrifice a lot.
It's also something on a personal level. What I told before, I was an opera director before, and I also sacrificed my opera director career because that's a very high status career. But I really was fed up with it. You know, the structure is not from now. The way they produce is not from now. It's 19th century. So, and it's also, but you also offer or you sacrifice your status and because it's also the top of this pyramid, but I don't like it, you know. That's double, but it doesn't feel. Maybe it seems like a sacrifice, but at the end, I love so much what we found together in making it more working together. Really, of course, we're the boss. We have to make decisions. We have to take responsibility. That's much more important. But we collaborate really on the same levels. We try to look. That's why we also give assignments to other makers, and we respect them completely. We left them in their own value, and that's so important.
Yeah, it's a new way of that. Like the director is not the almighty power anymore. So we are the head responsible. That's more for the whole operation.
Yeah.
But in that sense of the making process, we're trying to really break down the old structures of directing and of making, where we really believe that the most valuable things comes from equality, or that you're all in the same level in that sense, and that you have all ownership of the artistic process.
I actually want to ask, we talked about inspiration from the book, from this time, but also looking back a little bit. Do you guys take any inspiration from Amsterdam, the location where you're based right now, specifically?
Local, of course, with the makers and performers where we're working with. So it's very Amsterdam based mainly. So of course there's some people, but it's of course our bubble where we live in. It's Amsterdam in that sense, and we try to unbubble in that sense. But
in a way, like I was raised, I was born in Amsterdam. My grandfather worked here in the harbor as a carpenter, and in the same place, the ADM, it was behind the central station. He worked there, and after that, it became the Festival of Fools, for example. And this shaped me because Festival of Fools, Amsterdam had a kind of tradition of free artists, and also with Ruijvoort places, you know, people who try to make different ways of art, also breaking open the old structures. That's something that was already for a long time going on in Amsterdam.
And what's made it different? Because not everyone will know Ruijvoort. I, for example, know what.
Yeah, it's maybe we're not completely not hippies.
No.
But there's in the hippie culture, for example, there was one clown, for example, Django Edwards. He was famous. He was on the Waterlooplein. He did the dive in a glass of water, for example. It was a great act. It was an American who came here, and you know, these kind of strange.
I think more, and it has to do a little bit more with the entrepreneurship of Amsterdam, like always trying to come up with new ideas. And I think this spirit of Amsterdam, I think, is you see it a lot. There's a lot of innovative ideas come from Amsterdam in arts and culture too, but business-wise too. So I think this innovative character that Amsterdam has, and then still like not the complexity of these very big cities as New York, for example, but Amsterdam is very international and very ahead in a lot of things. So I think that sense it really matches with Amsterdam.
It's a free city. You know, that's also what you hear from people who come from abroad. You know, there's a kind of against the stream, and you know, we don't want to separate. We want to come together.
And it's a magnet for a lot of artists, and I really hope that the city will get a little bit more affordable, because otherwise we're going to lose all this creativity and all these artists that we have as a magnet for us, because all the schools are here. A lot of people come here to really develop their work, but it is tricky at this
And
point.
we are part of trying to make it more affordable. That's really the thing what we do, and also Shafiq is very good at with buildings. You know, the open spaces we create for artists, because it becomes more and more expensive. And people go to Amsterdam and at a certain moment, all these young creative people are living in Amsterdam, and Amsterdam will become a hub.
Yeah.
Now, if you want that as Amsterdam,
Or they're
you
even
should go.
moving out of the Netherlands.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. If your company would be a person, what kind of qualities would it have, or can you explain a bit more about its personality?
I think it's a person that always try to question things. Why are they like this? And try to move against this stream of normality.
Never take things for granted.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of risk taking in it. I think we're more kind of in terms of how we do things, more like not more like a rock star kind of type that's always try to do things differently, but still try to be entertaining. So I think we're still making things for people.
Absolutely, not being superficial, but still being inclusive for everyone.
Yeah, but I think so I think we're really always questioning why are we doing it this way, and how can we make it different. And
the structures, building structures. What we learned, I think what we also have together. If we don't have money, we think we do it with what we have, and then we just do it. And always turning around, they think, oh yeah, we can make it, and always think the other way around. That works.
Yeah. So that.
So, what are the future goals for Circle of Truth?
World theater domination. No,
We're very ambitious. Like the trilogy is a kind of exploration and a kind of prototyping as well. So it's like we make three because we first had a crisis, then we become better, and then we go. Every time you become better, you have kind of blueprint again.
Yeah, with making. So what our ambition is, of course, because it's always already English spoken. So. What we wanted to do is with this methodology, what we created, this way of working, we wanted to see if we can do it outside of the Netherlands too. For example, that we can create in London, for example, a Circle of Truth with local makers there, with the same, like with our artistic team, we moved to there and we work with local makers and to create new ideas. And I think with the same way of working, we can create all the time new stories in different countries.
Yeah, because
and different cultures. I could totally see that happening. Yeah.
But you always have to make it with if you have like if you do cats, for example, it's everywhere in the world the same.
Yeah.
We make a kind of format in which you can always make with the local makers stories from that city or that country. Yeah. So we're also in preparation already. We're talking with Mexico. We have some contacts there. It's an idea to do it there. London, we try to make some contacts, and there's interest.
Yeah, so we really try to cherish the thing that we never go too commercial, but really we're in the middle field of looking at the commercial side to make it work, but still want to keep the authenticity of artistic and cultural work that we need to protect. So this balance is always the thing, because now in the Netherlands we're like half of it funded and the other half is from ticketing, so that keeps your artistic freedom a lot, because you can make choices that are not only about money but about creating the best work, and that's something we try to find a balance in how we can go to different countries to make it a little bit more commercial but still keep our soul and
authenticity
to the level.
Yeah.
So quite some ambitions.
Yeah.
So to close this interview off, I wanted to ask one question for each of you. We'll start with you, Xander. If you could sell something unique about yourself, so it's a personal question, what would you tell the audience? Something unique, kind of secret, what nobody knows.
It's funny, it's interesting to say, but I think I found out also through this, and I'm a heterosexual guy, but I think I'm queer.
I love it.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Because that's why, I never found out what queer means. Queer is not only about sexuality, it's also a way of looking at life and working in your art.
Totally.
So I found out I'm queer.
Yeah. Well, something to celebrate for sure.
Yeah.
Some people that are close with me, they know actually, but I'm a real, I think it's quite unusual in the cultural and artistic world, but I'm a real car lover. I love classical cars. I love driving them. I love to be with those things and to collect them. Not like that I have a big collection, but I have a couple of classic cars, and that's something that I really love to do in my free time. And it's really funny because in the cultural world it was like, this is quite strange, this guy with his cars, but yeah, that's maybe a little bit in my style that I'm never confirming with what's supposed to be.
Outlaw.
Yeah. Okay, thanks guys so much for this short interview, and yeah, let's.
Well, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
See you in the circle of truth.
Yeah.
Yes.